FishingROV update. Didn't really like this solution, but it's kind of simple. I'm going to go for it anyway. Is just attaching the dome so that the O-ring's new, and then just going with self-tappers straight through into the side of the housing. I was thinking of improving it and putting like a stainless steel band on here and having tie-down bolts that run through the acrylic, but if we're not gas compensating to full working pressure, then we don't need a huge hold down pressure. So pretty much these are just to hold the dome in position and seat the O-ring, so self-tappers might be alright. Kind of the one downside I'm thinking of is the potential of puncturing the housing. This is the one that failed in my test. And even here they got a few ones that were a bit closer. So this one will have half the number of holes. So I've only used half the holes in this in the brake disc housing. So the ones closer to the outside, so pretty much it's just a straight drill down through. And I'll try to keep it, even if it's towards the outside of the casting in the moulding. We should have plenty of hold down anyway. And this is the weak spot where the screw comes close to the inside of the housing. Isn't necessarily a failure point because it's spanning a short distance, and it's fairly strong around this corner as well. Simplicity. Simple solution is often the best. And we go for a 3mm drill bit. Furry and rough, something I'm going to rub down with some wire wool scouring pad. Works a treat. I've been using this high-tack silicone grease, usually food grade silicone. It seems to work pretty well so far. Let's see when the O-rings. Because I'm using this standard disc for the other domes, so it's one of the better ones that are all scratched up. They should have the same hole spacing. So I should just bolt straight on as replacements when I finished mucking about with the casing and positioning motors. Testing it, seeing if it'll take the pressure. I guess it might be good to have to do a bit of gas compensation. If you had active gas compensation with a cylinder of air or CO2 that would squirt in just enough pressure to keep it, say, 25 psi above ambient, so when it went down it would keep squirting air into the cylinder, so you would stay gas compensating without having to have that huge difference on your boat pretty much. So that's potentially explosive to have that much compressed air at say 100 psi that might, if your dome gets dinged or whatever, you spring a leak, it could all pop off and turn nasty. So if you gas compensate maybe to just a few psi, the water pressure, the pressure inside is always going to be greater, so the tendency is for the gas to escape, and if you know gas is escaping, you can surface and save the electronics. Potentially. But simplicity first. The scallops are going to be down at probably no more than 100 meters, and big ones apparently are in shallow water, like 30 or 10 meters, whatever. So, just starting to get down to the nitty gritty of how to fit everything in. So I'm thinking about just using the wired through-hole connectors. So that's using a bit of the inside from this Arctic Flex, which has a fairly coarse strand. Splitting the insulation, pulling it apart a bit, then casting that in resin for most of the connections. And then I'll also test SV Seeker inspired through holes. I'll use this one probably. It's alright. To see which is most reliable. Easy to use and stuff. Got quite a few wires to get out. So, 5 thrusters, 4 manoeuvring thrusters. I'm going to leave the forward manoeuvring thruster off just now. Have 2 descent and 2 power thrusters. And the descent thrusters also do pitch. Plus 1 for the spear. So we've got 5 motors, 3 wires for each, 15. And then we might need to do a solenoid on the spear to reduce the lag time between when it fires and when it's full extension. So we might need to add extra wires, plus 2 for tether. And these connectors seem to line up nicely when there's 19 conductors. Same with the wires. So, guessing just some kind of connector block in here. We need to be able to draw it back far enough that we can get in at all the connections to be able to take it out, you know, to mess with the ESCs or whatever, to replace parts. Not sure. If it comes out too far, it's going to be difficult to jam all the wires back in. There's not a huge amount of space between where the battery's end, and this space will be for the FishingROV control board, bigger one black, and there, a couple of inches spare, almost an inch, and then the camera tilt servos will go on front of that. Maybe just, I was thinking originally of having one of the main power leads run out through one of these bolts at the back to have a jumper on it, so that you can have a definite kill switch that's not going to operate at all if there's no signal, or if it's not going to start stabbing you on the boat. This crazy little spear thing. But we could just use the FishingROV one where it listens for power on the tether, so it won't arm until it's the tether's powered, which is probably safe enough. I mean, if we got 4 motors running at 20 amps each, got 80 amps potentially coming through these lines. 80 amps sounds like a lot. I'm not sure how many amps these batteries can take. So we're discharging at 1C, 3 times, say 15, probably get a few in there. So 15, so 30 amps. So probably not more than 30 amps at a time, and we might need to software limit the current draw to stop the batteries cooking. We might also need to space these batteries out to allow for better cooling. There's quite a lot of space in there at the moment, but we'll be making individual battery holders. Possibly we could 3D print something with enough air gap in between to allow the airs to circulate so the battery doesn't cook. 36, 2C, 1C. 1C is probably safe, isn't it? And if these are 2 ampere batteries, you might get 2 amps out of each one. Yeah, so 60 amps. Say 60 amps, you can probably have higher peak currents, but 60 amps continuous. Maybe 3 motors on full power. Just sounds a bit high. Anyway, just to play with connectors, through holes. I'm mounting these motors. I'm just drill and tap the low density polyethylene through. Have the stud connectors that come out here on some kind of collar, probably zip tied together. And have the spear come down here with the recoil mechanism, recoil spool at the back here. I made this little metal cradle so that we can get in and play with it when we're on the boat, by the shore or whatever. Looks alright. There you go, hopefully without damaging the thrusters. Could kind of see that it might be useful to have a cage or some kind of built-in frame, but it doesn't work if you're removing the central section to get in there. You could probably have an extra. Just a cage frame around the outside. It's permanent there, but then it does make unscrewing that central section more difficult. I guess you could potentially, stop your cage here and have this as like a kind of hand grip type undoing section. Nice. I like being able to squash down the O-ring in the housing. Having something you're pretty sure is going to be waterproof and something off the shelf that's not terribly expensive. Versus you could just use an acrylic tube, or you could use any kind of tube, a really heavy walled steel or aluminium thing potentially. Just make end caps. Which is a possibility. It all fits inside this tube. 110mm UPVC drainage pipe, and that's 5mm, so it's probably good to, guessing 100 meters. We could still play with other pipe, but I do like the idea, that it's the main O-ring's access point is compressible, positive lock. It screws down so you can get in and access it easily, and you've got the plumbing ports for outputs and inputs. I think it's good. We'll see. I need to planning on playing with some more 3D printed end cap molds, and I've got some microfiber polyester resin filler, so it might be possible to make simpler and more effective O-rings, O-ring sealed end caps, more easily. But that's where I'm at. Quite like it is a bit restricted. It's really difficult to mount this tube. Potentially, you can make it easier. You can maybe print off some kind of mounting bracket for the inside. It's going to add weight and bulk. Sure, this is what we got. This is what we're testing.